Dunstan came to us quite early in the practice. SSdH was in its first year and we only had one other project under construction. We came out for a site visit and immediately felt a connection to the clients, Mary and Steve, and to the site, which was this incredible site that you always wish you could get. It was kind of almost a clean slate with the existing small house at the front, and immediately kind of had a lot of ideas around how the site could be utilised. I'm Todd. I'm one of the 3 directors at SSdH, along with Jean-Marie and Harrison, and we're here at our project Dunstan. We're located in the suburb Preston, which is about half an hour north of Melbourne CBD. It's mainly comprised of sort of smaller, single residential, fully detached brick houses. The existing house was in a bit of state of disrepair. It would have been built in the 1950s and is sort of a replica of a lot of other houses up and down the street. But there was something about the scale of it and the austerity and the honesty of the really simple construction that we really liked and really wanted to engage with as part of the new extension. The clients, Mary and Steve, came to us basically wanting to downsize. They spent 12 months and I think looked at over 100 properties before settling on buying Dunstan. Part of the reason it took them so long to settle on the site was because they were looking for something that had a really good northern aspect. They wanted to be in the house for a really long time and for it to be very specific to the way that they lived and the way that they occupied space and landscape. And Steve in particular was very focused on how the house could capture light. He's a really keen gardener and wanted a deciduous garden, trees that could let the light in through in winter, and knew that we needed to design a house that responded to that. From the street, the extension and the new parts of the house are quite unsuspecting. They sit quite low behind the existing house and the pitch of the existing tiled roof. We wanted it to feel like it had always been part of the suburb, that it belonged to the existing parts of the house. As you enter into the house, you open up into a really generous entry space for greeting guests and space to hang coats, put an umbrella. In the existing parts of the house, we've retained bedroom spaces and created a new walk-in robe and ensuite that face out into that central courtyard, giving you a great connection across to the new areas. The hallway is quite an interesting part of the project. It connects the existing house to the new pavilion at the rear. We kept the height purposefully low to create a feeling of compression before getting to the more expansive living areas at the rear. Then, as you move down the hallway, you passed a sunken study that looks out into the central courtyard. We didn't really want to feel like there was any part of the house where you were completely isolated or not connected. Even if one of the clients is in their study and somebody else is in the living room, that you kind of get a visual connection between those spaces, even though you're separate. Through those early design tests, we quite quickly settled on the idea of a pavilion. The importance of the landscape and garden in the clients' lives really made us start to think about how we could position all of the living spaces around a big backyard and a central courtyard. Their interest in kind of letting as much natural light into the spaces as well really influenced that, so we're getting glazing on both sides of the plan. From an aesthetic perspective, the clients really liked kind of mid-century architecture and what that embodied, but that was more so from a functional perspective, thinking about the way that those spaces work, that they're quite often open plan and flexible. Probably one of the biggest challenges and one of the most rewarding elements of the design was the construction of the roof that sits over the pavilion. We knew we wanted to create a really large, flexible, open space, and a lot of work went into the detailing with the structural engineer to create these large, oversized beams that allowed for that. Not only do they hold up the structure, but they also form part of the ornament for the design. We knew that colour was going to play a really important role early on through the design process. Because we used so much timber externally, we knew that it needed to be protected for longevity, and we thought that that was a great opportunity to introduce a paint finish into the project, and landed on a yellow tone that really reflected a lot of the warmth in the timber and brickwork and other materials in the project, and allowed that light to come in even on an overcast day. During construction, we received a very low quality, blurry photo from the builder's phone, and we were very nervous about the colour, so immediately rushed out to site to check it in person. And when we saw it against the other materials, knew that we'd made the right decision. Since finishing Dunstan, we've been lucky enough to spend a lot of time in the house with the clients, and it's been amazing to see the way that they've occupied it over time and how the house responds to the seasons and different light conditions throughout the day. During the first Christmas that the clients spent in the house, they sent us a photo with the doors all slid back and an extended family of 50 people all gathered in the space. It was really gratifying to see how they were using the house in the way that it was intended.